My arms were taut, stretched high above me, a vulnerable offering. Sight was stolen from me, speech imprisoned. I could only hear their footsteps, two distinct sets, closing in, a measured, deliberate approach. I was breathless, ensnared, and utterly ignorant of what they intended next, yet a thrilling, undeniable part of me wanted them to proceed. Before we plunge into the depths of this, a small confession. This particular narrative emerged a little more precipitously than intended, but the urgency to share it was simply irresistible. Do let me know if it still managed to strike the intended chord for you. Now, let us begin. The irrevocable yes had already been uttered. There was no retreating now, no turning back from the precipice I had willingly approached. The linens on the bed were immaculate, pristine. The lighting in the room had been meticulously dimmed, casting just enough of an ethereal glow to soften the edges of reality. Candles, strategically placed, flickered across the meticulously prepared space, their flames dancing and weaving soft, alluring shadows over every surface. I had orchestrated this setting deliberately, obsessively, down to the most infinitesimal detail. I found myself adjusting things that required no adjustment, wiping down already gleaming surfaces, straightening pillows that were perfectly plumped. Anything, anything to keep my restless hands occupied. I returned to the mirror for one final critical assessment. The black lace, a delicate whisper against my skin, fit just so, draping with a soft, seductive allure over curves I hadn't revealed, hadn't dared to celebrate, in far too long. I turned slightly, appraising the view from the back, then pivoted to face my reflection once more. I hadn't dressed to conceal. That was precisely the point. My heart was a frantic, wild tattoo against my ribs, not with fear, no, but with something far more complex, more difficult to define. A sharp, insistent pulse of anxiety and a thrilling, almost unbearable anticipation were tangled inextricably together in the hollow of my chest. I had absolutely no idea what to expect. I only knew, with a bone-deep certainty, what I had asked for. I slid a solitary finger along the delicate line of my collarbone, exhaling slowly, deliberately. Every nerve ending, every pore of my skin felt exquisitely alive, hypersensitive, attuned to the slightest shift in the atmosphere. The cool air caressed my skin, heightening every sensation, every burgeoning tremor. I sat down for a fleeting moment, then, unable to bear the stillness, rose again. The door remained locked. The silence on the other side profound. Yet I knew, with an unshakable conviction, that both of them were on their way. That had been the explicit agreement. Fleeting thoughts of recanting, of changing my mind, of sending a frantic text to call the entire endeavor off, flickered through my mind like phantom shadows. But I didn't succumb, because beneath the superficial layer of nerves, a deeper, more primal current thrummed. I wanted this, all of it, everything I had never dared to try, everything I had never allowed myself the freedom to truly want. That, in essence, was what tonight was about. No pretense, no illusion of control, just pure, unadulterated surrender. And then I heard it. 3 slow, deliberate knocks against the door. It was time. They stood at the threshold, both of them silhouetted against the dim light of the hallway. Neither spoke. The taller of the two stepped forward first, his movement slow, measured, almost predatory in its deliberate grace. He didn't inquire if I was ready. He didn't need to. There was something in his very presence, a calm, towering, quiet authority that left no room for questions, no space for hesitation. He stopped mere inches from me, so close I could discern the faint, intoxicating scent of well-worn leather emanating from his jacket. Then, without uttering a single word, he lifted his hands and gently, irrevocably, slipped the soft cover over my eyes. The light vanished. My world immediately narrowed, contracting to the elemental sensations of breath and sound. The air in the room seemed to thicken, to become more charged, more electric. My breathing pattern altered, becoming shallower, quicker. I heard the distinct final click of the door latching shut behind me. Then, nothing. Just the resonant hum of silence, punctuated only by the frantic, insistent thrumming of my own heartbeat. I was already shaking, a fine, uncontrollable tremor coursing through my limbs, and he hadn't even truly touched me yet. Then I felt him behind me, his presence a palpable heat against my back. His hand brushed lightly, almost feather-like, over my waist, then settled there, warm, heavy, a grounding, possessive weight. I held myself perfectly still, uncertain, tense, every muscle coiled. But I didn't pull away. I didn't want to pull away. His fingers traveled lower, his touch sure and knowing, as he subtly adjusted the angle of my hips, moving me with an effortless authority as if I were no longer in command of my own body. I let him. Each small, deliberate shift sent a jolt, an electric shock through my legs. My breath caught in my throat, a sharp, ragged intake, when he gently nudged my knees apart. I obeyed, my body responding instinctively, yielding to his unspoken command. The cover over my eyes, the deprivation of sight, heightened every other sense to an almost unbearable degree. His footsteps, the soft whisper of fabric as he moved, the subtle sound of his breath as he stepped in closer, each was magnified, amplified. I felt his chest graze my back, a fleeting electric contact, the unyielding firmness of his grip around my hips, the steady, inexorable pressure as he guided me further, deeper into his control. Then he moved. No asking, no warning, no preamble, just doing. Doing exactly what I had, in a moment of reckless abandon, asked for. My mouth parted on instinct, a silent gasp. A small, involuntary sound slipped out, quiet, needy, almost a whimper. My hands lifted slightly, then hovered, suspended in the air, unsure of where to go, unsure of what, if anything, I was allowed to do. I had never in my entire existence felt so utterly exposed, so profoundly vulnerable, so incredibly, terrifyingly alive. He was slow at first, his movements measured, deliberate, yet there was an undeniable undercurrent of power, never truly soft. He handled me like something precious, yet something to be claimed, positioned, tested, meticulously made to respond. His rhythm was steady, unyielding, relentless, as if he were patiently, methodically, teaching my body how to listen, how to attune itself to his. Every second seemed to drag, to stretch into an eternity, and yet, simultaneously, surged forward with a breathtaking, vertiginous velocity. I tried, desperately, to maintain some semblance of composure, to hold myself still, to resist the overwhelming tide of sensation. But it didn't take long before I couldn't. Every subtle shift, every minute adjustment sent a fresh jolt, a new wave of sensation crashing through me. My breath fractured, shattering into small ragged gasps. My legs trembled uncontrollably. I was spiraling fast, hard, plunging deeper than I ever thought I could possibly go. He adjusted his grip, holding me tighter, firmer, ensuring I couldn't pull away. I didn't need to see. I felt everything, his unyielding grip, his dominant rhythm, the raw, untamed control that stripped away conscious thought, leaving only pure, unadulterated sensation in its wake. The pressure built, relentlessly, exquisitely. My mind blurred, dissolving into a kaleidoscope of feeling. I moaned, louder this time, no longer caring who heard, no longer capable of suppressing the sounds that clawed their way from my throat. And then I unraveled. It rushed through me, sharp, sudden, a conflagration of heat, release, and utter, complete collapse. My body clenched, every muscle seizing. My breath broke apart, shattering into a million tiny fragments. I gasped out loud, a raw, helpless sound, utterly powerless to stop it, trembling uncontrollably under the sheer, overwhelming weight of it all. When my knees finally started to buckle, to give out beneath me, he held me through it, his grip firm, his presence silent, steady, an unshakable anchor in the storm. Only when the last tremor had subsided, when the final wave had crashed and receded, did he finally let go. He stepped back without a word. I remained where I was, unsteady, trembling, completely, utterly undone. I had never been touched like that before, never surrendered so completely, so irrevocably. And the part I hadn't anticipated, the part that sent a fresh jolt of something akin to terrified exhilaration through me. I needed more. The second man closed in slower, his footsteps heavier, more deliberate. He didn't speak, just approached with a quiet, unnerving certainty, as if we both already knew, with an unspoken instinctual understanding, what came next. I sensed him, his presence a palpable weight in the room, even before I felt his touch. His presence was heavier, denser, different from the first. Hands, strong and sure, closed around my wrists, raising them slowly, inexorably, above my head. A firm, unyielding hold followed, steady, certain. My arms stretched high, taut, and stayed there, suspended. I barely had time to process this new development before a soft, pliable band slid gently between my lips, then was fastened securely behind my head. Now I couldn't see, couldn't speak, couldn't truly move. He said nothing. Then his hands reached my thighs, his touch confident, unwavering. He shifted my stance subtly, then stepped in, his body a warm, solid presence against mine. I staggered slightly off balance, but the tension in my raised arms, the unyielding restraint, held me. His fingers pressed into my skin with a practiced, almost clinical control, as if measuring, assessing just how far I would allow him to take me. There was no pause, no hesitation. He handled me like someone completely, utterly in charge. No gentle build-up, no tender preliminaries, just motion, pressure, and an unnerving, absolute certainty. He adjusted my hips again, moving me into place, setting the rhythm entirely on his own terms. My body jolted with every sharp, decisive shift. I gasped against the restricting band, the sound trapped, going nowhere. He moved with a relentless purpose, measured, unyielding. My knees wavered, threatening to buckle, but somehow I stayed upright. His grip never faltered, never loosened. Every powerful motion sent something deeper, something more intense, pulsing through me, coiling tighter and tighter in my core. I moaned behind the cover, a helpless, overwhelmed sound, my skin flushed with a consuming heat. It was more, so much more than I had expected, and I knew, with a terrifying certainty, that I couldn't stop what was coming. My body took over, surrendering to the inevitable. The pressure rose too fast, too intensely, spilling past every limit, every boundary I thought I possessed. I came apart, shaking uncontrollably where I hung, suspended, head tilted back, breath exploding from my lungs in short, fractured, desperate bursts. He held me steady, carrying me through it, His grip an unshakable constant, not letting go, not even for an instant, until every last wave had passed, until the storm had finally, mercifully, broken. Then everything stilled. He stepped away, and the silence, thick and profound, swallowed the room once more. I didn't collapse. I couldn't. I remained there, suspended, trembling, covered, breathless, completely, utterly undone. I was still restrained, my mouth covered, my eyes concealed, barely managing to remain upright. My arms ached with a dull, throbbing pain from being held so long, so tautly, above my head. My legs were shaking violently beneath me, my breath shallow, restricted by the band across my lips. But I hadn't come down. Not fully, not even close. I felt the shift first, a subtle change in the atmosphere, the thick air seeming to pull tighter, to press closer against my skin. Another presence entered the room. Slower steps this time, no voice, but I knew with an instinctual certainty that he was back. A new grip found my waist, firmer this time, more decisive, more possessive. My body tensed involuntarily, every muscle coiling in anticipation, but it didn't matter. I couldn't move. The other man was still there. He had never truly left. I was caught between them, lifted, controlled, completely, utterly, open. Then came the movement. They adjusted me as if I weighed nothing, as if I were a pliant doll in their capable hands. My feet were spread wider, my back arched, the supports above creaking ominously with the sudden shift in weight and tension. One of them stood behind me, his presence a heavy, undeniable weight against the vulnerable curve of my spine. I didn't need to guess what was coming. The pressure arrived fast, not slow, not gentle, just a sudden, decisive shift that felt foreign, overwhelming, and utterly, terrifyingly unstoppable. I reacted instinctively, my head thrown back, my breath caught, trapped behind the restrictive cover. One of them anchored my hips, his grip like iron. The other braced my legs, rendering any attempt at escape futile. I was locked in place, claimed, possessed. Before I could even begin to adjust, to process, the second man moved in closer. His hands circled my neck, not tight, not constricting, just there. A silent, potent reminder of his presence, of his control. His weight met me from the front, a solid, unyielding pressure. And then came a second rhythm, a new, complex, overwhelming cadence. Both of them moving together. One behind, one in front, unyielding, intense, perfectly, terrifyingly in control. There was no pause, no gentle build-up, just relentless driving motion, sharp, insistent. Their movements took over, measured, unyielding, a symphony of sensation that threatened to overwhelm my senses completely. I couldn't see them, I couldn't speak, but I felt everything. The exquisite tension, the searing heat, the undeniable weight, pushing me, stretching me, taking me to places I'd never been pushed before, physically, completely. And underneath it all, a silent, traitorous counterpoint, the way my own body responded, again and again, to their relentless assault. I should have broken instantly, shattered under the sheer, overwhelming intensity of it all. But I didn't. Some primal, insatiable part of me needed it. I didn't know whose hands gripped where, or who shifted me next, only that every movement, every adjustment hit deeper, resonated more profoundly. My body was lit up, a conflagration of sensation, desperate, aching, consumed. Nothing existed beyond that moment, beyond the raw, unfiltered feeling. They didn't slow down. Sometimes they moved in perfect, devastating unison. Sometimes they were deliberately out of sync, their movements overlapping, alternating control, leaving me no space to think, no room to breathe, no chance to anticipate. A hand gripped my hair, tilting my head back further. Another guided my chin, forcing a silent, helpless sound from my throat. My body shook, trembled violently between them, a leaf caught in a raging storm. Muffled cries, desperate and raw, were lost, swallowed by the restraint. And still I wasn't finished. The first wave came fast, rushing through me in hard, convulsive bursts, knocking the remaining strength from my already trembling legs. But they didn't let go. They held me upright, their grip unyielding, and kept going, each powerful motion driving deeper, pushing me further. The second wave came slower, a more languid, yet no less intense, build-up. I arched again, my arms straining painfully against the supports above. My body trembled uncontrollably in their unyielding grip. My mouth parted, but silent. The sounds trapped, imprisoned. I didn't think I could possibly take more, endure more. But I did. I felt them together, their movements overlapping, a relentless, overwhelming onslaught, each moment, each sensation, pushing me further, higher than the last. And then I came apart. The final wave tore through me, sudden, blinding, cataclysmic. I didn't cry out, I didn't breathe. I trembled so hard, so violently, that I couldn't hold still, couldn't control the convulsions racking my body. My thoughts scattered, fragmenting into a million disconnected pieces. My body faltered, surrendered. I wasn't in control anymore. And in that moment of utter, complete annihilation, I didn't want to be, They held me steady, their bodies a firm, unshakable anchor, as I unraveled again and again, wave after crashing wave, until there was nothing left, until I was completely, utterly spent. Only then, only when the last tremor had finally subsided, did they stop. The room fell still, the silence profound, absolute. Their hands slipped away, their touch lingering like a phantom caress. But I stayed in place, still covered, still unable to see, still shaking, still somehow not finished. This one was rushed, I'll admit it, but I still hope you enjoyed the intensity. Be honest now. Have you ever encountered a woman who left you utterly speechless? One who ventured further, dared more than you ever anticipated? What happened? Share your stories, your reflections in the comments below. I'm reading them all, eagerly. And please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when the next one drops. Thanks for watching, for being here.
Thank you for listening. Please share your thoughts, like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more.